Welcome back to another episode of Supergene Unleashed. Today, I'm pleased to welcome Edmond Gebara to the show. Ed is a close friend of mine who I met in Dubai shortly after moving there while working at an advertising agency. I heard an American accent and I immediately knew that I needed to speak to him. Now, you might be wondering, why on earth has Stacy brought a man onto a show about female empowerment? Well, actually, I believe that men can be our greatest allies, but they can also be our greatest threat. So when you meet a man who is really somebody who embraces women and really understands women, I think it's important that you embrace them back. Ed is one of those men, and today we will be facing the harsh reality of male-female relationships and why the dating world has become so difficult for powerful women to navigate. We're going to be getting a sneak peek behind your brain, Ed. Ed has been in the dating scene around the world in Dubai, New York, Atlanta, Berlin, maybe even some other cities in between. Yeah. And now, I want to turn it over to Ed. Welcome to the show. And if you can please tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from.
Stacy, so good to see you. Thanks. There's a few other places. Maybe we'll get there. I was born in the U.S. I was raised kind of outside of D.C. I went to Lebanon for high school, came back to the States for college, graduated, moved out to Dubai, where we met, where I did about an 8.5-year stint. Back to the U.S. in 2017, spent some time in Europe, and now I moved back about a week ago. So I've kind of been going back and forth. And that's kind of given me a bit of a perspective in terms of dating, right? So all of my social circles have been mixed throughout different stages of my life, all over the world, basically. And I try to do my best to listen to people and really put myself in their shoes from a work perspective, media, advertising, a little bit of marketing here and there. So my work has also put me in all these social situations as well. So I think I've got a pretty decent, I think my perspective is fairly, I don't want to say maybe comprehensive, but I'd say my perspective is fairly nuanced, right?
And when you say perspective, you mean your perspective on women, right?
Absolutely. I was raised largely around women, right? So I always kind of had that perspective in the back of my mind, and I grew up and I evolved with that in my peripheral always, right? So I've always taken the time to see it from a female perspective, and I think it's important too, because in general, I think women are generally ready for it, right? Like when you come to the table and ready to date, I think it's a perspective from when you're a child. You're looking for that kind of person. For men, it's like, all right, well, now I'm out of that stage and now let's settle.
So you believe that in your experience when you've met women, you feel that by and large, women are ready for a more serious relationship.
Absolutely. I mean, when a woman's ready to settle down, she's kind of waiting for boys to turn into men.
But there's certainly a fair share of women who also like to have fun, right?
That's a given for sure. I would say, though, the difference is that a woman will have fun when she meets that person. She put the rest aside, right? Like that, it's fun in the interim, where I'm in the way of meeting the men. But for a guy, a lot of the times, I think it's you're having fun, and I'm still like in that stage. Let's say even sometimes when the right person comes along, when the right woman comes along, they may botch that, right? Or they may still let that go because in their mind they're still in that phase. Because
what phase are they in? You're referencing a phase that
I think
a man
that
is in.
Men don't have the pressure of like evolving relationship wise as much because of, obviously like biological certain other factors. So I think men kind of have a bit more time and it's a bit more relaxed for the most part.
So generally speaking, you're trying to say that you believe a lot of the men, including yourself, and I'm curious about other men that you've met, don't feel like they need to rush into things because at the end of the day, they don't have, a biological clock that's ticking. So for them, it's kind of like take it or leave it. And
correct.
There isn't necessarily a rush to find the right person. But at the same time, if they meet somebody who said something quite important, that they're okay if they let that slip away. What did you really mean by that?
I think that there isn't First and foremost, like the longer you wait, the generally harder it gets for anybody.
And
Men,
why
men
do you
and
think
women.
that?
Because more if you has loaded, there's less that's malleable. When you're younger.
I would agree. And I've actually seen this play out in quite a few friendships that I have where it can be harder because you become pretty independent, a bit stuck in your ways.
100%.
And it is hard to then welcome this whole new person into your world and into your routine.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. So up until college, everyone around you has been in the same boat, right? So when you're on your campus, your senior year, that's the last time in your life everyone around you is at the same stage. You graduate at that, now you suddenly veer off different paths. And the problem is that we always have this, the grass is greener on the other side type thing. And life is always going to be about sacrifice. Like delayed gratification is the secret to all of it, right? So for men, you're young, you're out and about. How do you have the discipline to take a step back and try to meet that person, even when you don't think you necessarily want to? Because when you're younger, you're open to change. You're easier at understanding, let's say, other points of view. As you get older, you're a little bit more set. It's like when a game or something is loading, and it's like at 30%, at 40. Okay, when you've loaded 40%, there's only 60% left. When you're younger, everyone is fresh, right? And so we get a little bit more jaded with experiences. We make certain inferences based off of experiences. We've had more time to have bad experiences. Yes, we have good experience, but I think women, for the most part, why I tend to side with women for most of the time is that it's typically a guy's thing to lose, right? Like if a man is playing his cards right, a woman will sacrifice more. But the opposite
A
is
woman will sacrifice more in terms
Absolutely.
of what, though?
Well, relationships, because
meaning like she'll bend over backwards or accommodate her personality to be who she thinks the man wants to be. Is that what you've observed?
I think, well, you have to appreciate women because their consequences are far more dire. Like when a woman makes a mistake in relationships, it's more permanent, right? Like there's more consequences. Let's say someone gets pregnant. Well, for a guy, you're dealing with a kid, but for a woman, it's your body. There's a permanent change. Yeah, there's something that's happening to your chemistry, something about that, right? That is a forever thing.
That's true. And then, so it might be easier for the man to kind of forget about that or move on from it. He's not necessarily so attached, as you say.
And then you have that. I mean, it sounds, maybe some people might not like me to say this, but there is a certain window to a degree.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there is an optimal window for people, right?
Absolutely. And especially now, for women, there's a big crisis. Fertility is at the forefront, where it's becoming harder for women to become pregnant. IVF is on the rise. But at the same time, you see the statistics. It's largely as well because women are waiting longer because they want to pursue the career. They want to achieve a certain level
100%.
of success. So when you think about, the dynamic of that, with a woman wanting to pursue her career as well, because up until now, we've kind of talked about how you feel like, that men have a bit more time. So for a man, he can maybe take a little bit more of a relaxed approach. But how do you view it for a woman who's chasing her career? And what is that like as a man? Because, for instance, many of the women in my circle are very successful. They're accomplished. They're independent. They have their own money. They have, very nice
Men
things.
don't appreciate that enough.
Yeah. And the thing is actually many of the men that they're meeting are afraid once they meet them, once they step into their home and maybe see some designer or luxury furniture, they ghost them.
Because it messes with the male-female dynamic. So to a man, first of all, just real quick, I don't think men need to understand that when a woman goes to work and she succeeds in a corporate environment, she has to take on a lot of masculine traits. And men don't appreciate the fact that a woman has to juggle being who she is, who she wants to be, and succeeding at work. For a man, you're you.
But do you think men see that side of women in the workplace as a competitive threat?
Absolutely. And it depends on your
Because you
region.
say they don't appreciate it, but at
They
the
don't
same
appreciate-
time, maybe there's a part that sees it as a competitive threat. So they kind of naturally want to wall up or distance themselves because they don't want to compete against a woman.
So you have that element in your personal life and at work. And at work, it's the fear of, she's going to outshine me, let's say. Right. And in your personal life, it's the fear of, can I provide for her that thing? Because the male-female dynamic in general is a man provides, right? Like that's the foundation to a degree,
well, it's
regardless
kind
of how that
deep-rooted.
manifests.
It's
exactly.
a bit in our DNA.
Exactly.
It's how ancestrally we were raised, right? And the men were the hunters and the women were, back at the campfire, keeping things tidy.
So when a woman raises that lifestyle bar through her own success, for a man, it's like a shouting match. You shout, I have to be louder. So now I have to provide above that, or else there's a lack of, let's say, masculinity in that. But that's a false narrative because that's usually rooted in a man's insecurity. Because a good woman, that's not going to be what's going to matter to her. A woman wants to see a man who works hard. If you lack the drive, that lacks masculinity, right?
That's very true.
Because a woman doesn't want to come home and be the guy too. That's why, like, if a guy asks a girl out, I'm wondering if sometime maybe you want to already know. There's this place.
Meaning already know that a woman isn't going to buy into a man who's a bit fickle like that?
Kind of. It's like if we A/B test two approaches, right? So if the first approach is like waffling about asking him out, being a little, shaky. And then the second approach is, there's this place I really want to go, this place at 7 p.m. Friday, this is a dress code. That's like a woman's dream because you don't always want to make decisions. You want a man
so true. I have my husband.
Yeah.
I call him the plan man.
Yeah.
And I love it. He's a hard worker, which is extremely attractive to me. We're very much equals. But I do feel what you're saying. I completely empathize that when I go to work and I'm, in all of these meetings and having to take decisions, when I get home, I want the pressure taken off. I don't really want to make too many decisions. Yeah. So I really do appreciate when, my husband steps up to the plate and says exactly, this is the plan, this is what to wear. So I definitely can see that playing out. But have you ever felt insecure
for sure
in a relationship with a woman who is dominant and independent and successful?
I think if
and if you have and you've kind of overcome that, I'm curious to know, how have you come to this place where you seem really balanced and pragmatic in your mental approach? Yeah. So how did you
Well, insecurity is an internal thing, right? So external factors will reveal it. It'll shine a light on it. So it has to do with myself more than anything, right? So if I've ever been insecure, it's usually been due to a stage that I'm in life. You only reveal what I'm feeling about myself. We view the world through the lens of our own personal experiences and insecurities. So when I see you successful, I can only see that as a threat if I am unhappy about or unsure about myself. So it's about being cognizant of that and being aware and being hyper aware of where everything's originating from. And then I'm like, stop being a little bitch about it. She loves you, dude.
You say that to yourself?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. I talk to myself all day.
I have moments of self-doubt.
Oh, yeah. I talk to myself about these
because
things
you
all
come
the time.
across very cool, confident, assured in what you want. Do you know what you want, by the way? Do you know what you want within a woman?
Yeah, for
sure.
sure.
What do you want?
I mean, I'd say you have the generic things that everyone wants, your warmth, your commitment, and so forth. But it's really, you have to want, it's the same for everyone. You have to want someone who sees you as the light, even when you're at your worst. Because what is a relationship? It's looking at someone saying, hey, we're going to get through this crazy fucking thing called life together. And anyone can be there when times are good, right? Like you need to be with someone who makes you feel good when times are bad, and they give you that. That's what it's about. No one gets credit for when times are good. Anyone can be there. That's what you want to find and you want to look at someone and say, if I'm at my most vulnerable, I can trust you. And I don't have to always explain myself, because when you're with someone where you always feel that you have to pitch your thoughts in a certain light, that's the wrong person.
That's completely true. And when I reflect back on my own dating diaries, my God, thank goodness that many of those didn't work out. But I did find myself in situations where I was second guessing what I would say. I mean, even at some points, I was literally driving my friends batshit crazy with screenshot after screenshot saying, oh, should I send this or should I send that? Should I use a period or an exclamation point? Emoji? No emoji. What about, tweaking it this way, that way? And it was like, looking back, I'm honestly sat here laughing at myself because now that I have met the right person, I can genuinely see how none of that matters. And as you say, it's about finding somebody who, enables you to be authentically you
100%.
And isn't going to judge that and fully embrace all the bits of you, the good, the bad, the ugly.
And 100%. And like on that point, it's important to know these little things don't matter when it's the right person. So like, did I put 2 dots at the end of the sentence? Is that passive aggressive? 2 exclamation points is child's. None of these things matter when it's the right person.
Yeah.
They're all irrelevant. And plus a lot of people gaslight. Like I and guys might get mad at me for saying this, but
say it. That's what this podcast
but it's
is all
total,
about.
Like people find reasons and like guys to get out of something.
Okay.
When they already kind of made that call. So like they'll use, and I mean women do it too, but you'll use something that someone did as a reason when it was irrelevant how they did it. You just wanted to find a way out. So, how you said this thing in this message, or I didn't appreciate, or you blew up my phone. All right, well, they blew up your phone because you're giving them a reason to and they're insecure. Now you're using that as a scapegoat to get out of it, like F off.
But you know what's sad about that is that on the receiver's side, or the person who blew up the other person's phone, could take that as, oh man, I regret that I did that. And that's what's annoying when the gaslighting happens, or when a man chooses to use a situation as the scapegoat.
And it's getting worse now because what's happening is the media world manufactures disagreement by finding people on the complete opposite sides to talk. So like when you have younger kids watching all these shows, they're watching men rehash the same BS 7 to 10 talking points from Kevin Samuels and Andrew Tate. And then like the number one, this is like the number one piece of evidence how you know a guy has no idea what he's saying. So women account for 70% of, they initiate 70% of divorce. They love to say this. Well, you don't want to look into it. Why? I mean, why don't we, you can't give that stat without looking into the reason. So, but what's happening is people are watching a manufactured version of reality because it's ultimately rooted in some form of entertainment more than anything. So now they're watching this, they're getting charged, they're angry. So you watch, for example, in the States, they do this. There'll be guys like on South Beach interviewing women. What are you looking for in a guy? Blah, blah, blah. They'll show you, they'll show you the clip of the, severely overweight woman being like, I want a guy who makes $400 a year, which is fine. You can.
$400K a year.
Yeah, $400K. Like,
yeah.
And then all the guys in the comments, oh, this is BS. She expects this and that. And then, but they cut out the 49 other women who were like, yeah, I just want like a guy who's willing to like work on himself and like not cheat, because that's not fun. That doesn't make the news. And again, the overweight thing, just to be clear, it's not it's just, that's like a topic in the States now.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, like a woman can do no wrong and this, that. And I'm like, well, you're complaining you want an old school woman. Well, you had that in the 50s and 60s and you slapped her because your coffee wasn't like perfect. Like, look at I Love Lucy. Oh, honey. Like, it's like about to backhand her. Like, you had that. So now women have the cards because the technology has provided unlimited access for everyone.
Yeah.
And now women like, yo, no, I'm not going to settle for that. And guys like, oh, blah, blah. Bro, you had it. Yeah. Women are born ready for it. The woman isn't going to let go of a good guy, right? She can. She has bad influence around her. If she's modeling her life after the music industry, after other things, your OnlyFans or whatever, all that stuff, fine. But for the most part, you go to a strip club and that's a woman that would love to have a good man. And she'll probably go be a mom tomorrow and drop all that shit.
But what's interesting about all this is that at the end of the day, although you talk about there are many men out there that are interested in finding a wholesome woman or a career-driven woman, a confident woman. And then likewise, there are many women out there who are looking for a quality man. But what's ironic is that when I meet both of these types of men and women, they actually say that they feel these people don't even exist. So why aren't these people meeting each other? And what do you think about, the whole dating app culture and how this has really changed the dynamic of, men and women, and how do you, how do women, or how should people try to meet each other in these days?
Yeah. I mean, the apps through evolution, like the apps completely took like evolution and change. I mean, it's borderline changed it. Like it's serotonin. It's a casino for your serotonin now, these apps, right? And so now the apps put a magnifying glass to bad habits and good habits. If you're a good person who's secure in yourself and you want to find the right person, all the apps did is give you like reach in the palm of your hand. But if you don't have the right habits and you're not disciplined, you're going off the complete other end. And now you're being a hoe in 4K, like men and women, right? And that doesn't help anybody. Sleeping around is not good for anyone. It makes it impossible to settle down for dudes because you just want more. And then you reach a point as a guy where
they want more because you're saying it's the whole serotonin thing, right?
Yeah, it's gambling.
It's like addictive.
It's below the belt gambling.
Below the belt gambling. Exactly, I like that term.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is, because the more you get, the more you want. The more you want, the more you go after. The more you go after, the more you get. The more you get, the more you need. It's this vicious circle.
And you think that's why many men are basically not settling down.
That's a huge part of it. And then the other part is we model what we want after entertainment. Like people show you who they are. You either choose to see it or you don't. And if you want to see the differences between a man and a woman, we don't need in-depth studies. Just use your eyes. Look at a man, look at a woman. Everything is in the visual. But the problem is that guys want a girl who's a baddie. All right, well, your tits are popping out of your turtleneck. Like, fine, that's cool. Again, not judging that, but like understand what comes with that. It's the equivalent of a woman going after a guy. If a girl goes to her female friend, oh, sis, this guy, like, he turned out to be an asshole, blah, blah. And she goes and she looks at his socials and it's a bunch of, shirtless bathroom selfies. It's like, all right, well, I love you, but what did you expect him to be? Well, the female version of that is ultra provocative. Now, the problem is the people that are going to hate what I'm saying, it's not because they're going to hate what I'm saying. It's because they're going to hate what I think I'm saying, what it's associated with. And then what it's associated with is at the mercy of the media that you consume. Because at its core, I'm not saying anything that anyone would disagree with. Put your best foot forward.
Yeah.
The cover of your book matters. The idea that don't judge a book by its cover. Don't judge another person's book by its cover. Fine. Give people the benefit of the doubt. But judge
bias.
your own.
Everybody has an unconscious bias.
You have to. And it's how we survive. You go see a bear. You're not going to go hug a bear. What if he's a nice bear? He just wants some belly scratches. No. You're judging a book by its cover. He's going to maul your ass. You're going to wake up in the afterlife. Right? So we model what we want to women, like I want a high value man. Okay, well, but you want a guy in the industry. But most guys, they're going to be a doctor, a lawyer, a consultant, blah, blah. He's going to want something low key. The reason I seem like I'm hating on men is because men steer that ship.
In what way? What do you mean they steer that ship?
They steer the ship in the same way that they steer the ship, I think, in bed, which is like, a man has to lead to a degree. Lead doesn't mean woman, and I have to always preface it because of how charged the environment is.
You better put your T's and C's in there.
So it doesn't mean like a woman's in the kitchen. I clean up. I like to, I do laundry. I fold shit. It's not about that. It's about the dynamic. Again, just look at a man and a woman. Who do you think would lead? Who do you think will go if someone's trying to break in? Who do you think would nurture a child? Who do you think would breastfeed? Like, it's all in the visual. But the logic and common sense is now a touchy subject due to what we've done to the subject.
Due to society, culture,
because we make
media.
Money off of manufacturing disagreement. So now it's a touchy, fiery subject when really it's just pure logic and common sense. But the reason I feel like it always seems like I'm hating on men is because every woman I've known, whether I was dating in Texas, Atlanta, New York. I was going on a date in Berlin, London, Paris, Saudi.
Saudi.
Oh
okay.
yeah, I met someone on the plane in Saudi.
Okay,
I got in trouble. Is what
oh
I'm,
boy, maybe
but-
we'll save that story for another time.
Oh yeah, maybe that's not. But like every woman says the same thing, which is he wanted me to like work, and I'm gonna come home, and suddenly now I need to be a porn star, and I'm gonna cook this. Like women make more of an effort because men also hide behind the scapegoat if I work. But when a guy works, you're leaving the house.
Yeah.
You're going to a job. A career is 1,000 times easier than raising a kid. Now you have comedians who'd be like, oh, well, like how hard is it to do something you can do in sweatpants at home? It's 10 times harder. And because you're leaving the house as a guy. You're going.
Well, it's also as a woman, and I can say this as a mother now, when you are a mother, you have to sacrifice a bit of yourself. Frankly, for me, it was such a difficult transformation going from not being a mother to becoming a mother, especially at an older age and especially as a career woman, because the only life that I knew basically my whole 20s and 30s was being independent, career driven. And then all of a sudden I had a baby that, you know, needed me. And it was extremely difficult because I couldn't just do what I wanted in the moment. And so you're right in the sense that when a man leaves the home and goes to his workplace or whatever, doing his career, in a sense, he's constantly having access to fulfilling his inner desires, achieving the goals he wants to achieve. Whereas when a woman is maybe a stay-at-home mom or, you know, taking care of the kids, she kind of has to put aside her own self-desires. And I think that maybe men
100%.
don't realize that key point of difference. It's not about the, you know, work or how hard it is. It's about that, you know, separation of putting yourself at the forefront. And it's kind of funny, well, not kind of funny, it's actually quite sad when you say that some men talk about wanting, you know, a successful woman, but then when they get the successful woman, they wish that she was, cooking him dinner at home and these kind of things. And I actually have some friends who are currently in this kind of a situation, and it's really crazy to watch. So what would you give as a piece of advice to women who are navigating this big old minefield?
Yeah.
Because as you know, the majority of our listeners are women. And so I really want to know, you know, give us, what should we be doing? How should we be navigating this field? How do we quickly disseminate who's good, who's not good?
So that's I'm about to address that real quick on the previous thing is one of the reasons women, I think, sacrifice more when it comes to when you're having a child and you're suddenly rearranging your life. When men have a family, they're giving up their adolescence.
Yeah.
When they're not giving up their career. When women have a family, they're giving up a career and they're giving up their adolescence and. And man, all he's really giving up is the ability to sleep with other people. But you're going to your job. If anything, it's just going to push you to work harder.
Yeah.
So you're not... There are more areas of your life that you're giving up as well. You're giving up your body. It's not going to be the same.
Yeah.
And society from when you're a child is like image. The cover of your book is like so much more important as a woman, right? It's look at the magazines, like look at the stick figure thing of the 90s. Thankfully, now we have a bit more of the love yourself movement, and it's okay to not be two-dimensional anymore. You know, you're not either like... You're not either obese or like disappear at a certain angle. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The thigh gap doesn't have to be 3 feet. You know, you don't have to look like a pitchfork. But my advice to women, honestly, too, is I hate to say it, but just don't put up with just don't put up with it. Understand, everyone has to understand that they can be difficult. It's not a male-female thing. You have to be honest with yourself, period. You have to look in the mirror and be able to assess yourself in the third person. Can you step outside of you and assess yourself? So know who you are. Know that not just because I'm a woman, I can have whatever. Understand, we have to be realistic.
Well, and also realistic about what you bring to the table.
So that's exactly it. That's you
not
stepping
having
out of you.
Unrealistic view of, maybe attracting much higher than what you can give.
That's exactly the stepping outside of you and really assessing yourself. That's one of the markers of maturity. Can you view yourself in the third person and assess yourself like you were assessing a stranger, that's one of the hardest things in the world. That's personal
it's
growth.
so hard. It's especially hard, like, as a woman, oftentimes in relationships, it's again down to our hard wiring. The, actual chemical makeup in our body sometimes clouds our judgment.
Yeah.
So it can be very difficult to strip away the love blinders and actually see that there's no love at all.
Yeah. And don't feel, if a guy, and this goes both ways, but I think more so for women, if a guy blows something up over something that seems like a detail, then he was just finding a reason.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you messaged a little too much, or this, or I felt you were being, this is all BS. If you want someone, you want them.
True.
If
a man wants to be with a woman, he will text her. He will reach out. He will make a plan. Correct?
I have time, like I'm guilty of time blindness. Like in dating, I'll go 6 hours. But that's like genuine.
6 hours.
That's like not responding.
Okay.
But like that's a genuine, like, and I'll bring that up.
Well, 6 hours is nothing. I know people where it's been a week or a couple of days.
All that is bullshit. There's no such thing as, all that is BS. Yeah, that doesn't exist. There's no such thing as not having time.
Yeah, it takes literally half
and
a
like
second.
guys too, I don't feel bad either, because like women, my mom told me, we were talking about some, my mom and I, and she says, like men are stupid. Women are a lot easier than you think. Make her feel like the only person in the world, and never stop dating your woman. I tell guys this all the time, like, and women will appreciate this. You never stop dating your woman.
Yeah.
Men take it for granted. They said, no, plan the little things that are like lame and cheesy that you think are not lame and cheesy. The little note,
we love it.
The little note that you write,
it's free. Just literally leave a sticker on my water
bottle.
bottle.
All the guys that will be like, well, that didn't work with this. That just means it's all the wrong person anyways. Like when you do the fundamentals and they backfire, it just means it was the wrong person. It doesn't mean that suddenly now the fundamentals need to be rearranged. Everyone's the same. Like, every person on the planet has the same pillars of success: family, balance, health, whatever, all that stuff. So I don't have to know I can meet a stranger and I will know to like 90-95% accuracy, like what they need in their life. Like, it's not a secret. Yeah. So when when someone is gaslighting you due to like fundamental, this is all just a way to get out of it.
Oh, for sure.
100%.
I, really hate to cut things short, but I actually have one last question on all of this. What would you say to the woman? Because also I've seen a lot of women who think they can change a man, who thinks that, because they're such a great woman, again, this is coming from a confident woman, that maybe I can be the one to change the man. Is that possible? No.
People don't even change for themselves when they know they have to. People have bad habits they don't change. You're going to come and change, and no one changes. If they're not who you are when they met them, you can have little changes. Yeah. But the fundamentals can't change.
And the fundamentals won't change. And
they won't
ultimately,
change.
That's what I've discovered. And you probably wouldn't want that anyways, because at some point,
why would you want to be with someone else to be someone else?
Exactly.
For you to, and just don't. Just, everyone knows in their heart of hearts what's true. You know that if it's a fundamental difference, cut it short. You're eating into your time and out there in the dating pool. Just don't lie to yourself. Everyone knows the truth if you look in the mirror. And don't let someone gaslight you when it's something that you know deep down is reasonable.
I think that's all absolutely amazing advice. I mean, I think you and I could carry on for hours.
We totally could, yeah.
We will definitely need another episode to talk and to continue. I really thank you so much for tuning into the show today. Yeah. And Ed, what a remarkable conversation. And really thank you for giving all of the listeners a full backstage pass to what really goes on in a man's mind.
Thank you, Stace. You have an incredible perspective. And I think that if people just take a second, they listen to what you're saying, I think it's undoubtedly objectively beneficial to anyone.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm excited
I really
to see where this
appreciate
goes. I have no doubt.
Me too. Thank you so much, Ed.
Thanks, Stace.